What is up, people? It is me, Monster58, and welcome back to another video review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Studio Series 86 from, obviously, Transformers the movie, Voyager class Junkion Scrapheap, the third iteration of the Wreck-Gar mold that we have gotten. And when it comes to this figure, it actually has significant changes, in my opinion, in comparison to Wreck-Gar as well as Junkyard. And I like that you'll see here in the transformation, there's genuinely transformation differences between this as well as Wreck-Gar as well as Junkyard as well. I don't think I've actually reviewed this mold on my channel before, so it's my first time doing it today, but obviously picking this up because I want to add it to the Junkion team for the 86 movie for the Autobots side of things. So, taking a look at the box here, you can see some nice artwork of Scrapheap. You obviously have the Studio Series Junkion Scrapheap, Studio Series 86, Transformers the movie right there. You also have the Transformers logo there, and then you got the Generations logo as well there. Some more nice artwork, Studio Series 86, and then you got some more nice artwork here. And then finally, our obligatory product shots, Transformers in 24 steps, and then the display bases from Junkion in the movie when Cup and Hot Rod and all of them are stuck on the planet when they get surrounded by the Junkions, and then they start fighting the Junkions until they become allies, and then during that time you see Hot Rod riding on top of one of the Junkions as a motorcycle. You know, you have that whole scene. So, really nice to add this guy to the team. Again, the main question with this guy is how significant are the differences and are they worth it? So, without further ado, here we have the Transformers Studio Series 86 from Transformers the movie, Voyager class Junkion Scrapheap in his actual bike mode. And I gotta say, this does look really cool. There really isn't, again, significant differences in terms of maybe the general look, but when you start to get to the nitty-gritty stuff, you can definitely understand this has some fundamental transformation differences from the original Wreck-Gar mold and even the Junkyard mold, you know, the small things that they adjusted with that. And it looks really nice. Obviously, you do have the nice sort of very common amongst the Junkions to have this orange color here. You do have a lot more of this yellow, which is much more present on this guy, much more of the brown as well. You can see that around here. You do have some of this nice like bluey gray, but more, you know, on the gray side plastic here for like these mufflers. I'm guessing this is supposed to be the engine, maybe cat here and there, but some cool stuff here. You can see some nice red painted details here as well. You do have the nice little windshield here, and just like the back of the other Junkion's heads, you can see that the back of their heads is the speedometer, and then you do have the nice handlebars as well. Overall, really solid, but the main comparison you guys probably want to see is this guy next to Wreck-Gar, and so what we're going to do is we're going to set Scrapheap off to the side here. And here he is with Wreck-Gar, and this is where you get to really see the differences. Now, I would bring down Junkyard, but in the way that my display shelves for the 86 movie Autobots is set up, it's got all the Junkions as well as all of the main Autobots from the movie. It's a really tight shelf, and so it's really hard to pull out the figures, but I was able to pull out Wreck-Gar at the very least, so you guys can see this comparison. And like I showed you, you can definitely see just the major color differences and the major differences here between the molds, right? You can see with Scrapheap here, you have this completely different top section here, which fundamentally changes the transformation. It doesn't have this plastic transparent windscreen right here. In addition to that, the way that the legs transform is different as well. And in addition, you can see there's much more orange across Wreck-Gar's body in comparison to Scrapheap. And again, this section here for the legs is completely different. As you can see, all these molded in details for the mufflers. Wreck-Gar doesn't have that. In addition to that, the spikes here on the back are not they're not present here on Scrapheap at all, not even on the inside at all. Taking a look more here, you can definitely see the taking a look at the sides here. Now these are pretty much the same, although I do believe that this section for sort of like the, I guess, hand rest, this would be the seat, because this would be more of where you rest your hands. This is actually chunkier. If you kind of look at that, you can definitely see this is fatter than this, even though that this middle section is the same. Also, the back of their heads, although similar, also very different in that sense. You know, they both have the Speedos, but as you can see, the ones for Scrapheap are much bigger. So there are significant differences with this, and like I'll show you in the transformation, if you do have the Wreck-Gar figure, you will certainly see and feel those transformation differences between these two, as well as that Junkyard mold. So obviously this is the main comparison, but I'm going to give you guys one more as well. And here he is with the Deluxe Class Legacy Evolution, or I think it was Evolution, yeah, Legacy Evolution, Deluxe Class Junkion Scraphook. As you can see, Deluxe versus Voyager, there's obviously going to be a very big size difference, but I wanted to give you guys another comparison with some of the other Junkions that weren't necessarily present in the movie. The reason I bought these guys is because I like the variation. I think a display, when you're doing a display in general, I think having some variation in terms of the characters helps the display to be unique and stand out a bit more and have some variety so that you're not looking at sort of the same looking characters, even though all of these guys look like each other. They're part of the team, but what I like is that Scraphook here is significantly different from his other Junkion counterparts, to where that he would be believable not only to be a team member, but believable to also be in the 86 movie, because there were so many different Junkions. Honestly, I don't mind that they went out of their way to make these guys the weaponizers, because it just adds more to the 86 collection. You can have this guy in a classics display. There's a lot of cool things you can do with this guy, but yeah, these two look fantastic together, and I have no qualms with the scale because of the obvious size difference between the Voyager versus Deluxe. Alrighty then, now I've been talking about the fundamental differences with the transformation, so without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing, obviously, with this mold that I do like to do is to take the wheels out. It just helps make everything easier, so just lightly split these apart, and then you can remove the wheels. We'll set those off to the side for now, and we'll come back to those later. So split the wheels off for now, and then we'll do the legs here, actually, since that's the last part. Actually, we'll also remove the gun, which I'll show in robot mode as well. Set that off to the side. So what you can do is you're going to remove the legs here, and you're going to sort of rotate them down, and then just rotate them around, and then fold the feet out. Rotate it. Whoops. Came off the peg there. Rotate that around, and then plug the foot back up again like so, and then we'll just leave this for now. Now to do the upper part, what you're going to do is rotate these parts out. So they were like this before. You're going to rotate these out, and then from here what you're going to do is you're going to take this section and you're going to sort of pull it out, and then you're going to fold this section down, and then you're going to fold it into the back of this sort of chest area. So trying to get this moved out of the way. So just gotta do some rotation here. Make sure you rotate these arms too, gives it more clearance. I apologize for that. Rotate those arms, and then you can fold this back inside. And then what you're going to do is rotate these, keep these in like so, and then you're going to fold the ears out on the head, and then you can just, again, you have these two pegs here, and then you have the two slots right there, as well as right there, and then you're just going to press this all into place. And then what you'll notice is as you're doing this, this should sort of automatically go into place, so you just push this all down. And then the last thing you got to do, take this section, you can essentially rotate it all the way around and fold it up. I like to do it like this. You're going to rotate it around anyway, but I like to do this because it makes it easier to see if what you're doing is correct. So just do this, rotate this entire thing around, fold down his little like side skirts there, and then for the hands, all you got to do is rotate them out like so, rotate them out like so. Sorry, that was a bit messy. I confused myself there for a second, but the last thing to do, we'll move this up here, is to take these little handlebars on the back, and then you can just rotate them down, or you can keep them up depending on how you actually like the look of this guy. And obviously, to complete the look, what I like to do for this guy to make him unique is to put both of the wheels on both of his arms like so. Easily slide them on. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Studios Series 86 Voyager class Junkion Scrapheap from Transformers the movie in his very cool robot mode. Overall, this guy looks really, really solid. And, you know, when it comes to this guy, like I told you, this is where the significant area, obviously, in the transformation makes a difference, is this upper part of the body as well as some parts of this part of the body. Because remember, these little holes here in his feet were meant to be plugged in onto the bottom of the bike mode for Retgar, but obviously the difference here is that the feet are flipped around, and we'll see that with reverse transformation. And also this entire chest section is a different transformation just due to the fact that he does not have that windscreen, you know, the transparent part of the the bike windscreen. He does not have that at all. He has this more rudimentary one, and it's sort of built into his head as well up there. But taking a look at this guy, zooming in on the details, the head sculpt is awesome, and this is obviously probably the main form of remolding that you guys are going to see with this or pay attention to the most. But it's really awesome. I mean, you can see the red painted eyes are real nice, the red all around for the shape of his head. You can see the brown for his face, and then you obviously have the handlebars. Overall, really, really nice head sculpt, and I can't really complain because it's very nicely molded and very nicely painted. You can see all that other detail does come out through in the chest. You can see some nice detail here in the arms, going down here to the crotch. Looking at the back, actually, I'll do that, is he's very clean. Like, there's really no major backpack besides this, and it really isn't that obtrusive. Going down here to the legs, you can see more of that detail. Very, very nice, and again, that molded in detail is completely different to Retgar, as I'll show here. So overall, really, really solid. Like, I don't really have any complaints with this guy. Again, the main question with this guy, is he worth another rebuy for the third time, just with a different mold? And we'll get to that at the end. We'll definitely talk about that. But obviously, there's some things you guys want to see, and those are going to be comparisons. So when it comes to comparisons, we'll set Junkyard Scrapheap off to the side here. Alrighty, folks, here we do have him with Retgar, and as you can see, when it comes to these two, there are very big differences. Again, I will say that I think that there are significant differences between these two, especially when it comes down to the transformation. As I've been repeating myself, I know I'm sorry if I'm making you guys tired of hearing that, but at the same time, that I just want to stress that that is clear. So as you can see, just a bunch of the details. So these legs are completely different. Retgar, as you can see, doesn't have these kneecaps that Scrapheap has. You can see going down here, this is also lots of orange. Here we have this gray, got this brown. In addition to that, you do have some slight differences here with the feet as well. You can see the molded differences there as well. Obviously, the heads are the biggest ones, and then the chest. Again, taking a look at the back here, you can definitely see that this guy has a little more rump in his trunk, if you know what I mean. He has a bit more of a bigger backpack, but it's not too, again, it's not super obtrusive at all. Overall, again, these two look great together, and sort of as the leader, in my opinion, of the Junkion's, Retgar, I do think that he fits well. Scrapheap, he does on a team of Junkions, and I think that he's a really cool figure. All right, and finally, for one more comparison, here he is with the Deluxe Class Legacy Evolution Junkion Scraphook. As you can see, again, these two look like they would be on the team together. They look really, really nice together. Obviously, Scraphook being a much smaller robot, but at the end of the day, Voyager versus Deluxe, what are you going to do? But I think the variation in their sizes and their proportions is nice when they did all of the Junkions in Legacy Evolution. So really cool stuff here. Very happy to have these two. The only thing that concerns me is that since that shelf is full, I have no idea how I'm going to rearrange that shelf. So we'll see how that goes with Scrapheap added. So yeah, that's about it for comparisons. Alrighty, let's get into the accessories. Obviously, he's got the two wheels, but those are pretty insignificant at this point, considering that's sort of a byproduct of the mold. But here is his gun. It does look very nice, very nicely molded in this dark gray plastic. Very nice details as well, as you can see all of those very, very nice. And you can see the brown for the handles, and very easily just plops into his hand here. You can just plug it in very easily. And like I showed you in the vehicle mode, it just stores with those 5mm ports that you can see on the insides of his legs. So overall, really, really solid stuff. Nothing crazy for the accessory, but it is nice that he has his own unique accessory to help him differentiate himself more from the rest of his Junkion kind. And obviously, the last thing we're going to do before the reverse transformation is the articulation, and he's pretty solid. Again, if you have the Retgar mold or the Junkyard mold, you'll understand this guy's articulation. It's basically the same. So, head can do a full 360. It's on the ball joint, but you can't really look insane amount down. You can look a decent bit up, but not too much down, just due to the fact that his head is chonky. You can do a full 360 with his arms. They go out, they go in, they rotate at the upper part of the bicep, and then you do get about 90 degrees at the elbow here. And then when it comes to his waist, you do have full waist, which is always nice to see. You can kick forward, you can kick back. If you lift these, you can lift these side skirt pieces up. You can lift to the side. You can go in, upper thigh rotation, about 90 degrees at the elbow, and then you do have some minor ankle rocker. So you can get some pretty nice poses out of this guy. Again, nothing absolutely bonkers, and it's not like his articulation is bad by any stretch. It is a little limited in certain areas, specifically I'd say in the feet, just due to the fact that you don't don't get that crazy ankle rocker, as well as the knees. The knees are only a 90-degree bend. But overall, still solid for a Voyager. And again, if you know the mold, you know the articulation this guy's got. It's pretty solid. Alrighty, folks, the last thing I wanted to mention is I did forget you can have the wrist articulate their full 360, which is nice, so that's really cool. But finally, reverse transformation. Really not that bad at all. Honestly, I find it a bit easier because of the transformation differences to transform in comparison to Wreck-Gar as well as Junkyard because of his their transparent windshield. Those things actually make it a little more annoying, in my opinion, to transform those in comparison to Scrapheap here. So let's start off by removing all of his accessories, and we can just set those off to the side here. So when it comes to this guy, what we're going to do is take the feet and we're going to fold those like so. Those should snap, and then you can just rotate these around, take this entire waist section, and then you can untab it like so, and just rotate this down. We'll keep it like this for now. Fold the fists in. Fold the ears in, I guess is what you would call those, or antennae. Know what you can do from here. Lift this up, lift this out, sort of rotate these out, and then lift this section up, and then lift that section up as well. Now what you're going to do is you're going to sort of force this, you're going to rotate this part of the waist up, and then you're going to fold this up like so, and then you're just going to force the head through here, this little hole here. Make sure that the ears get in there as well, like so. Sort of push that up and get that whole, this section here bent. It'll give you clearance to rotate the arms in, and then you can also rotate those so that the spike parts, these like muffler bits, are facing the bottom. So you just rotate them like so. And then what you can do here is you can take one of the wheels. You rotate the hands like so, so that the spikes are facing on the outside. You just attach those there. And then what you'll notice is that at the bottom, on the top of each forearm, there are these pegs here, right there. And then there are these pegs here, very similar to how Wreck-Gar does it. But what you're going to do is you're just going to slot those into place. You're going to peg all of that into place like so. Do that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to notice right here is that there's a hook right there, and then there's little holes you can fit in. You're just going to sort of push that in, and that'll soft lock itself into place. Not super hard lock, but it's a lock enough to where you'll feel the click, so just put that in place. And then finally for the back, you're pretty much almost done. Take this back section, fold these up, and then what you'll notice on the bottom of the feet, these outside sections will plug into these little tabs here. So just got to do this, fold those out like that, and make sure this part is straight as well. And then what you can do here before you get the other one is grab the wheel, plug this in here. That's what I like to do. I'll make sure that this section's straightened out, by the way. That's my fault there. You can do this, plug this in there, rotate this around like so, and then you're going to just sort of plug this in to its own peg, to its own hole. Then you're just going to push this down, make sure that that tabs into place. Like so. And then what you can do, take the gun, you just plug it here on the side of the bike. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we do have the Transformers Studio Series 86 Junkion Scrapheap from Transformers the movie back in his Junkion bike mode. Alright guys, so for my final and concluding thoughts on the Transformers Studio Series 86 Voyager class Junkion Scrapheap from Transformers the movie, overall pretty solid figure. Again, when it comes to the Junkion stuff, it's kind of like, you know, if you really do want like a full team of Junkions, I wholeheartedly recommend you get this guy, just due to the fact that he fits well with his Junkion brethren. And again, it makes sense that they were all bikes, or at least the ones really named the 86 movie, because if you look at all of them, they just look like small different variations of Wreck-Gar with different faces and slightly different color palettes, but they all have this roughly the same color palette, just some colors are more present on some of them than others, which makes sense again for a junk-themed team and a junk-themed planet that the beings are like that. So, with that out of the way, would I recommend this to a person who doesn't really like, would I outright recommend this as like a go-get-now figure? No. I mean, it's a remold for the third time of a character that we've gotten for the past several years. At the end of the day, even though that there are significant differences, and I will say that again, with the chest and the feet, there are significant transformation differences enough that differentiate this guy. Different head sculpt, different colors that are more present on this guy, different accessory. That is true, and same thing with Junkyard. But at the end of the day, it is again just a rehash of the same mold, just with a different face and some different other fundamental aspects. Again, it's really solid. It's just like I'm not gonna go out of my way to be like, oh, you need to get this figure right now. Would I still recommend it? Sure. Honestly, at the end of the day, for any casual collector, still would recommend picking this guy up if you do want a more robust 86 display with a ton of Junkions in it. So, out of a 10, I got to give this guy probably 7 or an 8. You know, he's not amazing. He's not awful in any respect. Just kind of exists, right? And this, again, there are significant differences. It's just kind of weird how I feel about this guy. I'd love to hear how you guys feel about having this remold for the third time in the comments below. You know, addressing maybe my points and stuff like that. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are as well. But I think I picked mine up on the Big Bad Toy Store. If not, I did pick it up in Hasbro Pulse. But regardless, links to those both in the description as well as Amazon, so you guys can go pick yours up. If you guys are hunting IRL, I do wish you the best of luck, and these guys should be hitting your retailers relatively soon. So, again, I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe. Share this video with your friends. Also, follow me on the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, and once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.